joined by Thomas Sandgaard, the man who has brought Charlton Athletic. So I'm sure you'll have a few things you might want to chuck in his direction. It might be useful to introduce him to a Charlton legend. I hope you're okay with being described thus if we get him on.
Well, yeah, no, I'd enjoy listening to him to see what he's got to say, because like Paul said before the game started, you know, we have a different perspective perhaps than supporters have on what goes on behind the scenes and how a football club is run from day to day. And actually, you know, like me and Phil just said, you know, it'd be nice to actually know what has actually transpired yesterday. You know, lots of tweets out saying I own the club. I'd love to know who owns what part and has he bought it outright, and just stuff like that to start with. You know, the transfer embargo's just suddenly lifted overnight. You know, I thought there was complications running beyond just Thomas Sandgaard owning, you know, the football club. So it'd be interesting just to listen, just to see exactly where everything sits at the moment.
Yeah, we'll have Paul Mortimer here as well. He knows Charlton very well. We'll be ganging up on him, won't we? But we'll be educating him. We'll be educating him about.
Absolutely not. As Brownie said,
listen,
I just want to hear what he's got to say. I just want to hear what he's got to say. He's going to have to convince people, because you know, it's one of these things. Be careful what you wish for, because we've been there before. So he's going to have to allay all those fears and just give us little bits of what we need, which is there's going to be money for players. You know, Bowyer and Johnny Jackson are going to be fine. You know, the club has a future. That's what we want to know beyond this season.
Your wish is my command, because Thomas Sandgaard, the new owner of Charlton Athletic, is on the line now. Good evening to you.
Yeah, well, good morning. It's still morning over here. I just got up. I was celebrating until last night. It's yesterday, so I'm excited to be on.
So.
Great to talk to you.
Thank you very much. Yes, you're live on BBC Radio London. We've actually got a couple of former Charlton Athletic players with us on the programme, Steve Brown and Paul Mortimer. They're very, very interested in what you have got to say and your plans. Can you just take us through, first of all, exactly what happened yesterday? Because it all just seemed to click into place all of a sudden. Was that your understanding?
That's right. Everything in terms of all the agreement that needed to be in place, obviously with the backing of the EFL, fell into place. That's now a day and a half ago. So that meant that late morning yesterday we could announce the whole thing, and obviously the fan base has been very responsive to Twitter. So a lot of it took place there, and I was fortunate enough to also participate in a few interviews. So. We got the word out. It's very exciting.
And without sort of going into too many of the details, do you now own the football club in its entirety? Is that how the deal has worked?
That's exactly what it is. I own the football club, and we have now a very transparent, clear agreement about renting the Valley and the Sparrows Lane training grounds for the next 15 years. And if there's a point in time where it's the right thing to do to negotiate and convert that into also owning it, we'll do that. But for now, just owning the club and making sure we have a very, very clear future in terms of where we can play the games and train. That means that we now have the stability that the club needs.
So the club is owned by yourself. There is a 15-year deal for Sparrows Lane and the Valley. How kind of robust is that arrangement?
It's very robust. Obviously, have in the process here created a relationship with Roland and Leven over in Belgium. And there's absolutely nothing that can disrupt that. And what there was before with funny side deals, etc., where there were ties into the club, that has now all been removed. So that was really my goal, to make sure that everything is so simple and straightforward that it's easy to focus on the one thing: building the club back, helping Lee Bowyer build his team, and get back to the championship, and in a matter of years I want to be back in the Premier League.
You will understand why there is some concern, partly because of the difficulties Charlton fans have had with the ownership in recent years, but also in English football in particular, that the separating of a football club from a football stadium often has in the past been a bad thing, and there are many examples over years where these decisions have been made and they've not gone well. Hence, I think the fact that there has been some nervousness. Do you understand that level of nervousness?
Yeah, but part of that is probably because on the club side of things, in a scenario like that has not been the financial strength that I'm able to provide the football side of it with, and that's really what it comes down to. Having a fantastic place to play the games and a very high-end place to train for all parts of the team, including the academy. That's obviously a given, but making sure that we also have the financial strength to build the club up to a Premier League level. That's the difference between those scenarios you're talking about and the new Charlton.
And players have already arrived. That transfer embargo has been lifted. It sounds like you've gone to work already.
Oh yeah, I've been working on this for several weeks. So we had this lined up well before the takeover, and obviously we needed the embargo lifted from the EFL, which was a condition for their approval as well, that we got all these deals taken care of with the previous owners and about the stadium and the ties they had into the club. So once that all fell in place, it's just a matter of signing contracts.
I wonder if I could just bring in Steve Brown, who played 242 times for Charlton, a bit of a legend at the club. Steve, do you want to say hello to the club's new owner?
Yeah, hello Thomas, how you doing?
Hey, good to meet you.
Yeah, no, the only question I would ask is when you say you own the football club, are ESI completely out of the picture? They can't have any say on anything moving forward? That's the only thing I really want cleared up.
Yeah, that is actually correct. We had that deal in place several weeks ago. So obviously I've actually been working with them. They've been pretty straightforward, easy to work with in terms of preparing for the transition.
Brilliant.
Excellent. Are you okay, Steve?
Yeah. Yeah, listen, I'm excited for the future. Nick, I'm excited for the future.
I would love to ask one.
Go on. Paul Mortimer also played for Charlton. Thomas, we're not trying to gang up on you. One question from Paul.
No,
we didn't assemble all these guys. We have a great relationship with Charlton Athletic. They've had some wonderful players. And Paul Mortimer's got a question for you.
Thomas, congratulations, and I wish you huge success at a club I love. But for me, the question that came into my head is, what are you going to bring to the club that the others that we were supposed to have trusted failed to bring? Because they said the same things. I heard the same noises, everything, and I have real issues with trust anyway. So what are you going to bring? Because I want you to allay my fears. How are you going to do that for me?
Well, I have a very clear strategy for how we're going to get there, and it's going to take about 11, maybe 12 years to get there, to get to the point where we're beginning to play European football. So it's not an overnight thing, and a very clear path as to how to get there. The good news is Lee Boyer and I we communicate really well, and we are totally on the same page in terms of how to build the team from here and to a Premiership level. So that's already out of the way. And again, as I mentioned before, unlike the previous owners, obviously Roland Duchatelet had the financial means to invest in the club if he wanted to. He was involved in many other things, other football clubs too. So I think the strategy when it came to Charlton became a little diluted and muddied. Obviously, in my case, I would have the financial strength, and I'll make sure that it's 100% dedicated to build the club. It's got a fantastic foundation, and I know that you two guys know about that already. And you know what? This is not too complicated, so I'm actually not too worried. I think it's about focusing on the club. Make sure we also listen to the fans, because if there's any club in England where the fan base is very vocal and supportive behind the team, both in form of numbers, but also in terms of how vocal they are, that's Charlton, and it's amazing. So we'll absolutely make sure that we listen to the fans. We won't ignore that. That might be one of the things that didn't go so well here in the past.
Will you bring in a CEO, Thomas, to run the football club on the ground, do you think?
I've been looking at a lot of that, obviously leading up to this, and getting into it, getting to know it. What I'm seeing is that we have changed the bylaws so that there's only one member of the board of directors to begin with, and I will personally also get in and be the CEO. This is the kind of stuff I'm good at, regardless of industry, is to come in and simplify things, see what's really going on and what's needed, and you probably just add one too many layers of delay and a risk of miscommunication. So I'll be in there just trying to work with what we have and just slowly over the next many years tweak things. It's really just a matter about tweaking the dials to make sure that we remove bottlenecks and miscommunication and get the right kind of philosophy. And that's really my responsibility to bring a culture that really is what the type of culture that I represent, bring that into the club and make sure we all are moving in the right direction. If this organization, whether it's the football side that's led by Lee Boyer and Steve Gallen, or it's the staff, if we all are running in the same direction, we're going to make miracles happen.
So you envisage a fairly hands-on relationship between you and the club and between you and the manager. The main point of contact when it comes to transfers and the squad and all that kind of thing will be Lee Bowyer and you.
Yes, sir, and Steve Gallen, obviously. We're already working really well together.
Great. Well, thank you very much indeed for your time, Thomas Sandgaard, the new owner of Charlton Athletic. I understand it's early where you are, so we really appreciate your time and look forward to seeing you at the Valley in person.
Yes, thank you. Thank you very much.
Thomas Sandgaard there asking